Oh, I got Kevin Danna for part 2, baby. It's a two-parter. Here we go. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. I will shut that off in just a second. You can follow Kevin Danna on Twitter at Kevo408. You can follow me, Cyrus Saatsaz, on Twitter at DogSurfRoadshow. We were just talking about Draymond Green, but I want to focus the show to a lot of other directions because there's a lot to talk about beyond just Draymond Green. This is a soundbite from Steve Kerr last night following the game where he puts the blame entirely on him. And I am happy to be hearing this because until last night, I wasn't really hearing Kerr kind of point the finger at himself that much. But last night he did. Take a listen to Steve.
Sure, and that's what being the coach is about. It's not just about drawing up a play. It's about really getting to know your players, building relationships with them, trying to give them a vision that they can collectively shoot for. And clearly, I have failed at that to this point this year. And so I have to do a better job, and I've got to reach these guys, and we got to pull them together, and that's what we're going to do.
Kevin, let me ask you this, man. This is a question I posed on Twitter last night, and I pose it to you now because one of my sources of frustration is that there isn't a lot of logic with what the Warriors are doing based off their offseason decisions leading to the rotations now. Damian Lee could have been had. The Warriors decided to let him go. And he has been a pleasant surprise for the Phoenix Suns this year. A lot of people, I remember, complained last year when he was playing. They thought those minutes should have gone to Moses Moody, maybe. Well, the Warriors let him go. They decided not to bring him back. He signed for the veteran minimum with Phoenix. And the Warriors, instead of playing Moses Moody, decided last night, for example, to wait until the fourth quarter. And then he comes in or I don't know if it was the start of the fourth or somewhere near there. He plays 6 minutes, doesn't score, but he's also +6 in the plus minus. What's going on with Kerr, man? Why do you think he is so hesitant to play these youngsters, even though the roster was constructed to literally rely on them? Make sense of that for me, please, if you can.
I don't know. Like, I never really like talking about like what coaches are doing because I'm not a coach and I'm not smart enough to be a coach and I'll never be a coach.
Well,
no, like
you are.
Coaching is a ridiculously difficult job. And like if Kerr feels like the vets give the Warriors the best chance to win, even if they're not winning, like you still have to play the guys that you think are going to give yourself the best chance to win. There's been a lot of talk, obviously, about the two timelines. And I was at a game last night. I tweeted this out. I was doing a Stanford women's game, and someone was mentioning, oh, they had two towers or something. And to myself, I whispered, 2 timelines. They were talking about something else completely. But like the object is to still win basketball games. And yeah, obviously it's tough to develop players when they're not playing. And this is why I'm really excited to see James Wiseman play for my team, quote unquote.
We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, we'll get into that.
But
they are your team, Kevin.
If Moody can't get off the bench, if Kuminga was sick last night, but like, and he's gotten into the rotation, but like, if that's what Steve Kerr thinks is the best way to win, like it hasn't happened yet, but I mean, he's won a lot of games as a head coach.
Yep.
And 1-6-9 stretch, I don't think undoes like the previous 8 seasons. I understand why fans are frustrated, right? Because they're not winning and they're not playing their lottery picks. So like that's not a good combination for a fan. Like, I understand why people are like, well, if we're losing games, why don't we play the lottery picks?
Yeah.
But they're not trying to lose games. And like
Understood.
Right now, the decision has been made that James Wiseman and Moses Moody particularly aren't in a spot to help them consistently win games. Otherwise, they'd be getting more minutes. Otherwise, James Wiseman wouldn't be in Santa Cruz. And so that's kind of what I think about it. What I think about is that I don't really have much of an opinion because like it's just I think it's tough to have an opinion on these kind of things, for me at least. And maybe that's because I am part of the machine, but like I generally am not a pessimistic person when it comes to like this kind of stuff. Like you either win games or you lose games, and if you lose games, well, obviously we didn't want to lose the game, but I generally don't get too high or too low. I don't know. Like I don't really. It's like that's his prerogative, I guess.
But you would agree. I mean, I hope you would agree that even though Kerr has had a wildly successful, track record as the head coach of the Warriors, he's not infallible. I mean, he's the head coach.
Well, yeah. No one's infallible for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying everyone's he's never above reproach. Like everyone is due to get criticized from time to time.
This is in Kerr's entire tenure. There's been 3 instances where I severely questioned him. One was the 2018 Western Conference Finals. I still to this day don't understand why he decided to rarely, if ever, play JaVale McGee. I was losing my mind that series because he would DNP him. He'd rarely play him. He kept going with these small ball lineups, and I don't think that series needed to go 7 games like it did. 2 was Gary Payne II. Why did he decide to waive him and take the risk of him having to go through waivers just to be able to come back to the team? And then he never got the minutes I thought he deserved last year, and now he's gone. And then third is this year, where you decided, and again, I know Kerr's the coach, Myers is the GM, but these two work together. They communicate on a daily basis. Myers is not making personnel decisions without Kerr giving the green light. And so for the team to decide to let go of all their veterans from the bench and then follow that up with, okay, so we're left with a couple of brand new players and our 3 youngsters who are all lottery picks who have shown incredible potential, but then you decide not to play them, even though every time they do play them, the results are good. Like when Kuminga plays extensive minutes, the Warriors win, or at least they're competitive. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I guess I'm just trying to understand like what the logic is there, like why let go of Damian Lee if you're going to instead play Anthony Lamb and Ty Jerome, your last minute 2-way players, way more than your 3 lottery picks. I'm just trying to make sense of this. He's also giving the veterans a lot of minutes. And at this stage of the season, instead of, like pacing them for the postseason when it really counts, he's playing Kerr sometimes 38, 39 minutes. He's playing Wiggins sometimes 40 minutes. I'm just trying to make sense of this logically, and no one can give me an answer. And I guess I'm just frustrated.
Well, let me try to give an answer.
All right.
Like Curry's playing extended minutes because their margin of error they need to start winning games at some point, right? Like 3-7 is not the way you want to start the season. So like they need to, as Steve Kerr so eloquently put it a couple of years ago, chase wins a little bit. And so that's why, and like Curry's been the one thing that's been really good for Golden State this year. He's been the shining light. So more Steph, the better. Obviously, you don't want him averaging 38 minutes a game. No way. But like he feels like the veterans give him a better chance to win. And honestly, like I know you have problems with them playing Anthony Lamb over.
No, Lamb. Lamb, I'm actually cool with Lamb. Ty Jerome, I had an issue with. I like Lamb. Lamb chopping.
We can argue about this to the end of time. I thought Ty Jerome's done a really good job. He was like one of the top 3 things going on that dreadful 0-5 road trip. That sounds like an unreal PR spin that I'm just put on an 0-5 road trip. I'm looking for a promotion and a Burleson PR director. Warriors. But
I like lamb chops though. But lamb chops, I'll eat. I'll sign up for the lamb chops, man. Bring it.
So like they just like they played more basketball than Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga and James Wiseman, and that's why they are trusted more. So like, yeah, I that's why I'm not tripping out over the rookies not playing. Like, this is kind of like an old school thing. Steve Kerr's been in the NBA for 35 years almost now as a
Yeah,
player or a coach or executive.
lifer. He's a lifer.
And so, like, yeah, just because they're not rookies anymore doesn't mean they're not young, right? Like, Kuminga just turned 20 and Moses Moody is 20 and James Wiseman's played, 50 NBA games or something like that?
Yeah.
I know people are growing tired of people making an excuse. So James Wiseman's only played X number of games, but it's not like he's played a lot more games than like when we were all saying, "Oh, he's only played X number of games." Like the season, he played 10 games before he was out of the rotation this year. So like it's not like the sample size has grown exponentially. So that's my whole, like, I have no problem with the vets playing over the lottery picks. Like, their time will come. Like, they've shown the potential. I have no doubt that those guys will be productive NBA players in their career, but like, that's still potential, and it's still not like an everyday thing. That's why 24 and 25-year-olds are being trusted to play over guys that are 20 and 21.
Yeah, that's fair. And again, I would be 100% with you and with Kerr if they were winning these games. But the fact that it's not resulting in wins obviously opens it up to criticism and discussion. I want to talk about James Wiseman because you're the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors. He's going to be playing for Santa Cruz, could be for a while. We'll talk about that and so much more next. First, this episode today is brought to you by BetterHelp, and they're all about mental health. And I said this last show, I'll say it today. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to not only completely disregard any ignorant, backward stigma that may be associated with someone who seeks mental health, but it's good for you. It is literally healthy. It's okay to seek help if you're struggling in this really brutal world that we all live in. I mean, this is not an easy reality that we're all in, folks. And BetterHelp is there to help you. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to match you with the therapist. And if things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lockedonnba. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen today. After us, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Kevin Danna is also available on Twitter at Kevo408, and he calls the Santa Cruz Warriors. Those games are broadcasted on our local NBC Sports Bay Area channels, and folks, James Wiseman is going to be playing for that team. Kevin, when is the next game? Give us some update, some upcoming games that we could all check out, and your thoughts on covering James Wiseman for the Santa Cruz Warriors.
Yeah, well, I'm stoked. Obviously got a chance to see him 3 games last year. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but it was like 17 and 9 in like 20-ish minutes a game. So, all right, to answer the first question, Saturday night against the South Bay Lakers, Ryan Rollins on assignment, and I hear someone else might be coming down too. In the floor. So James Wiseman and Ryan Rollins are assigned for this Saturday game in Santa Cruz against the South Bay Lakers, who have former C-Dub LJ Figueroa on them. And then they will play in Salt Lake City against a pretty good Salt Lake City Stars team that will be Monday and Tuesday, a back-to-back in the 801. So at least 3 games for James Wiseman. Steve Kerr said around 10 days. And I think this was the logical step for them to make. I think he needs to play in the G League a little bit.
Same.
Because he has shown too many flashes for me to say this guy sucks, right? He had 19 points in his first ever NBA game, without a training camp, basically coming off COVID against the Brooklyn Nets. I almost said New Jersey. Against the Brooklyn Nets, he was 4 of 5 from 3 and had 19 points and was doing stuff well, we just got our asses kicked, but hey, James Wiseman looked good. And he's just done that too many times over his career for me to give up on him. Same. Even when his net rating his rookie year wasn't good, he averaged 11 and 6 for someone who really didn't know how to play basketball at this level. And to me, I'm not in his head. I don't know what he's thinking, but when I see him fumble passes now, I think he's in his own head as far as all right, I made a bad play on defense. They are targeting me on defense. My defensive rating has not been good. I'm probably upset that I'm not helping my team on defense to the way that I think I should be able to. And I do think it affects other parts of his game where we see him in summer league, he can catch lobs with ease. He's done that in the NBA. He can catch lobs. He has pretty decent hands, but now he's missing around the rim and he didn't get worse at basketball. I do think the G League will be a great time for him to boost his confidence.
Agreed.
And I'm not calling him that he has that he's mentally. I'm not saying he's mentally weak or anything like that. I don't want that to get twisted.
Well, you're saying he's mentally weak? Kevin, that's crazy, man.
What I'm saying is all right, if you are not performing up to your expected standards and the expected standards of the number 2 pick in the draft, that will, there's just so much noise going on around. And if he makes bad plays on the defensive end, that will carry over to the other side of the floor. I don't think that he's gotten worse as a basketball player. Same. I think the results have gotten worse because there are things that he is still trying to figure out on the defensive end. And so I think the big thing with Santa Cruz is that he will have a chance to play extended minutes where winning is not the top priority. Though the Santa Cruz Warriors do try harder to win than other teams in the G League. He can play through those mistakes. And it's a different position than Jordan Poole, obviously. Jordan Poole was able to go down there and freestyle because essentially his job at Golden State is he is going to have the ball in his hands a ton. James Wiseman is not going to have the ball in his hands a ton at Golden State. And I don't think he's going to have the ball, he's not going to be bringing the ball up the court for the Santa Cruz Warriors. They got Jerome Robinson, who I do want to correct something I said last week, and I know I'm rambling here. But Jerome Robinson is probably the most NBA-ready player on the Santa Cruz Warriors. He's a lottery. He was a lottery pick in 2018. He was injured. That's why he was out of the league. He should be in the NBA by the end of the year. No question in my mind.
Okay. All right.
Legit. But James Wiseman, I know Jordan Poole said he should go down there and shoot 50 shots a game. I'm not sure he should try to force his offense like Jordan Poole could, because that's basically what Jordan Poole is out there to do. James Wiseman, I think, needs to learn how to play within the flow of the Warriors system. And for Golden State, that's not going to be James Wiseman trying to go 18 of 30 every game. It's him trying to go 6 of 8 from the field, picking his spots. And yeah, you can go down there and work on your individual game, and you'll have more leeway to do some of your own stuff out there. But I think at the end of the day, I want him to get more comfortable on the defensive end, run the floor like he can, like very few people at his size, and finish at the rim. And then, look, he can shoot from the perimeter. He has shown that. It was 31% as a rookie on not a small, super small volume. And so, yeah, develop those other aspects of the game. But I just want to see him run the floor, get out there and freaking play. And I think that will help him go a long way. He is going to make mistakes in Santa Cruz. Like Jordan Poole was second in the G League in turnovers in 2021. And he quite frankly almost cost Santa Cruz a game. He fouled a 3-point shooter when they're up 4 with 5 seconds to go. Guy hit the 3 and went to overtime. And you're kind of going like, no, Jordan, no. But like the guy, he also was like a top 5 scorer in the G League. And then as soon as he came back up, he's just turned into an absolute monster and has a $123 million guaranteed contract. So like, I'm not saying that James Wiseman's going to get us, what is $100 million? Is that a 9-figure deal? I'm losing count of my zeros.
Not what don't ask me that. You just lost me. I'm sorry.
So like, I'm not saying he's going to make $100 million in his next contract, but I do think that like we will see a better James Wiseman once he comes back from Santa Cruz.
You're correct with the 9 figures. Yes, that's what it would turn out to. I'm so excited. I agree with you. He needs the reps. Kevin, I think you would agree with me that one of the most important attributes of a young player in terms of their development and growth to fulfill their potential is confidence. And that's just one of the many issues I have with these DNPs and these limited minutes. Like, I loved what Kerr was doing with Wiseman his rookie year. He just threw him out there. I want that. I like that. I know it might cost you games, but in the big picture, for the purpose of developing these players to become superstars, that's what you got to do. And these DNPs, with Moody and Kuminga, just play them. Just play them. Give them the minutes, please. I'm begging you, Steve Kerr. In just a moment, look, James Wiseman is going to Santa Cruz. It's warmer in Santa Cruz than it is in San Francisco, right? So the dude's going to be sweating more. You might.
Jesus.
Shameless, right? And look, he's going to need some SweatBlock, all right? And James Wiseman will feel so much better when he's not sweating profusely in that warm Santa Cruz sun. And look, SweatBlock wipes were invented by a doctor. They're guaranteed to work, or you don't pay, folks. That's a guarantee. They call it the SweatBlock dry shirt guarantee. If SweatBlock doesn't keep you dry, you get your money back. If you or someone you love is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, try SweatBlock risk-free today. Save 20% with the promo code Locked On at sweatblock.com, and it's also available on Amazon.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
For making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. You can follow Kevin Danna on Twitter at Kevin4Wade. Kevin, when I watch your broadcast, I get a little jealous just because you and Drew Schiller have such great chemistry that I'm like, damn it, I thought Kevin and I had the best chemistry, but I think you two might beat us by a little bit. By the way, last night, did it seem weird to you that Jonathan Kuminga did not play because of an illness, but then he's sitting with the team?
I was thinking the same thing. I've seen Jonathan Kuminga unmasked on the bench, and I'm like, all right, well, if he's sick, why is he on the bench?
Just
Makes no damn sense.
Dude, this whole season is full of stuff like that. A lot of people are talking about Jordan Poole and his inconsistency this year. What are your thoughts on that, man? Because one game he'll have a monster, performance like he did against the Spurs, and then last night he has 2 points. What do you make of that, man?
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Poole has always kind of been a volatile player, right? Like, there are high highs and there are low lows. And it looked like he kind of figured something out in the playoffs with respect to that. And yeah, I guess, Steve Kerr said it. He's obviously better as a starter, right? And he started against the San Antonio Spurs and went for 36 points because Clay was out getting held out on the back end of a back-to-back. He went back to the bench yesterday and scored 2 points. It's easier and so look, I'm not a player. I don't know how hard of a transition that is to make, but obviously there is some transition to be made there. The one thing that I always find curious, and we didn't have a roundtable this week because of scheduling conflicts, but like one thing I would have loved to have asked Gary St. Jean is like, people are saying that like, oh, well, now he's on the scouting report And so like people are keying in on him. I'd be curious because nobody watches more NBA games than like the people in the video room of an NBA staff. Like if you weren't up on Jordan Poole in like April of 2021 for someone who has to watch games for a living, like you should know who Jordan Poole is by now. Like I kind of think that's a false like narrative, but I don't know. Like I feel like NBA teams have known who Jordan Poole is and what he's capable of for a year and a half now. So I'm not sure I buy that as the reason, but like when you don't have Steph out there alongside you and defenses are really able to key in on you, it's going to make it a lot tougher. And I mean, even last year, Jordan Poole was much better when he was a starter than when he was coming off the bench. In the NBA playoffs, he got off to a roaring start because Steph was coming off the bench and he was in the starting lineup. It's something he's going to have to learn. That's kind of what I make of it. There are two other points I wanted to get to. First off, with respect to Drew Schiller and myself, I've known Drew for 16 years now. So, person Cyrus. So, there's the chemistry thing right there.
Fair. Okay.
I used to spend 4 or 5 hours a day, like for 6 months at a time, with Drew Schiller in the Stanford men's basketball locker room while he was playing, and I was being the Adam Sandler water boy minus the playing part. The other thing is, and you made a point that I kind of wanted to get back to, is like I hear some fans say, and I'm not saying like you can't have it both ways, but it feels like the two big criticisms of the Warriors this year are that A, they need to surround Steph Curry with a legitimate shot to win an NBA champ, that you can't waste what's Steph Curry's greatness. And then B, Steve Kerr isn't playing the youngsters. So it's like either you have to play the veterans or you have to play the youngsters, or like we want to see the rookies play, or we want to see the rookies get traded for more veteran help. Like I'm hearing like conflicting criticisms, I guess. And I'm not saying that it's like the same people making these criticisms, because I'm not taking mental notes on it like LeBron James with the Miami Heat tracking the haters after he made the move from Cleveland. But I am saying it's just like the main criticisms that I hear of Golden State this year kind of clash a little bit. And I guess it's because of the whole 2 timeline thing where you're chasing wins and chasing development at the same time. And I guess that the natural response would be for there to be criticism about both of those at the same time. I don't know. But it's just like it doesn't quite mesh to me in my head, like where you'd say like, oh, we need to surround Steph Curry with XYZ. We need to like essentially trade rookies, or not, they're not rookies anymore, but trade
young players.
Yeah, trade the young players to get more veterans. And then people get pissed at the same time that they're not playing the young players, that they're playing the veterans.
I'm telling you, man, in the Spurs game, I thought he found the second unit that would solve most of the problems. And the unit that I saw that worked was Jordan Poole coming off the bench. Because realistically, regardless of how you feel about Poole coming off the bench and maybe starting for Clay, Kerr is not entertaining that idea.
But Poole started against the Spurs.
He did. You're right. But I'm saying in the big picture, like Clay's going to be the starter. So you're going to have to bring Poole off the bench. But what I saw, because Poole, even though he started that Spurs game, also spent a lot of time with a second unit that was comprised of Moody playing alongside him, Kuminga playing at the 3, Anthony Lamb playing at the 4, and then JaMychal Green at the 5. JaMychal Green last night, it's such a shame that he kept trying to put those shots up, because it masked what was, I thought, a solid performance defensively and on the glass. But when you play those 5 together, and then you mix in Dante DiVincenzo if you have to, because he's also a fantastic player. But that 5, okay, Jordan Poole, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Anthony Lamb, JaMychal Green. That is your second unit. What I saw in that Spurs game was all I needed to see. If Kerr sticks to that as your second unit, they're going to be fine. I would bet the house on that. And then last night, he went right back to what he normally does, which is not playing Moody, and then he brought him in the fourth quarter when it was too late. I'm really confident in that, man. I really think if you just, because Moody and Kuminga, if you surround, like that lineup has veterans in it, it has youngsters in it. It's got a good enough mix. You've got defense in it. You've got scoring in it. There are no holes there. Like Lamb's only weakness is his height at 6'5". You know, opposing players shoot over him. I've noticed consistently, but as a 3-point threat, that kind of balances things out. What do you think about that second unit I proposed, man? Is that did you not like it? What do you
No,
think?
I do like that second unit. I do think that's a really, I mean, they played very well together against the San Antonio Spurs. There's no doubt about it. I do like Dante DiVincenzo playing alongside Jordan Poole because it relieves Jordan Poole of having to be the dude with the rock every time.
Yeah.
So like I would find, and you mentioned that you sprinkled Dante in there. I would more than sprinkle Dante. But I do like I mean, I can't deny that unit was really good against the San Antonio Spurs.
It was, man. And like last night, for example, all you would have had to do is just move Moody to the 3 and still keep it intact. And then sure enough, in the fourth quarter, he finally brought that unit out together. And offensively, it wasn't quite clicking, but defensively, I mean, the score was, I think, 107-97 when he brought them in. And the score stayed, I think, virtually the same. Like the Suns, I don't think scored a single basket. Moody's plus minus was +6 in those brief minutes. That's your second unit. And I hope Kerr gives them more of a run because I think JaMychal at the 5, as long as you're not, those layups were awful, man. I don't know what the hell was going on with him where he was just missing those things. That was not a good look. But if he's just focusing on defense and rebounding and putting up threes that are wide open, if those opportunities present themselves, great.
He's better offensively than he's shown this year. I mean, yeah, he missed a couple of shots right at the rim. I think one he got blocked on that I'm not sure the TV crew picked up. He got himself caught underneath the rim like once or twice. But yeah, I mean, the shots he was shooting last night, JaMychal Green, you know, he'll tell you he should have gone better than 1 for 7. And like traditional, like he hasn't shown it this year, but he is a better offensive player than what we've seen at this point. And he was really good against the San Antonio Spurs.
He was, man. And again, when you look at the plus minus for last night, the only three players that finished in the positive were JaMychal Green, Moses Moody, Dante DiVincenzo, because when those three were playing together, they were successful. I mean, again, they weren't putting up points, but this Warriors team needs defense and they bring it. And that's what I hope for. I think we're good. So Kevin, Saturday, is that the game where we see Wiseman and you making the call on NBC Sports Bay Area? Is that right? 7
p.m. against the South Bay Lakers. Come on down to Santa Cruz. I don't know if we still have tickets available. I'm not the person to ask, but I imagine it's going to be sold out if it isn't already.
But you can watch it on TV, man.
Why go to the game when you can listen to me and Drew Schiller and our incredible chemistry? Mina Cato on the sidelines.
You two have. I mean, I love listening to you two, man. You guys have it. That's it. Anything else we've forgotten, Kevin? That was an hour, dude. That was a good run. I hope.
It's
your Santa Cruz trip.
Been a good run. I wasn't gonna. I don't think I was. I already told Santa Cruz I wasn't coming today.
Okay.
I would have liked to have seen Wiseman practice, but I just got too much other stuff going on. So
I hear you.
Wasn't gonna happen.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Kylan Mills joins me tomorrow. And Kevin, we'll see you back next week on Wednesday. Oh, wait. No, next week is Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be in Orange County next week for Thanksgiving. Yeah.
We might not even have a show, actually. I don't know. We'll figure that out. We'll be back soon regardless. Thank you, brother. Love you, man. Love you. Love everyone. And again, no panic buttons being hit. Are you hitting a panic button, Kevin? You're not hitting one, are you?
No, I generally – no. I'm definitely not hitting a panic button. And here's the thing, like if they're like 16-29, I'll just be like, oh, well, it's not their season. I don't know, like I watched, I became a fan of this team when they drafted Antoine Jameson. So I know what losses look like. I never dreamed of them like being a good team growing up. So
Same.
A 6-9 starts, like, all right, whatever. Like, yeah, Same. They should be better. No doubt about that. They absolutely tricked off a couple of games in Orlando and Charlotte. They should be 8-7 at the least.
Yeah.
But, hey, that's the NBA for you.
And again, they're not bad because of the talent. It's just every other team is for every other team who beats them, it's like a championship for them, man. And for the Warriors, they're just like, great, you beat us. Who cares? We got 4 rings. I don't care. My point is they're sleeping fine at night. Like none of these guys are losing sleep over this. I don't think they are, but that's just me. I don't know. All right. We good? We done? We out?
We good.
All right, brother. Thank you.